So when I heard that Disney was gonna do a Mary Poppins sequel, I was like, no. Well, now Mary Poppins Returns has come out, and I actually just watched it on Netflix. So what do I personally think about it? I think that while it's not a classic in the way that the 1964 film with Julie Andrews was, I still thought that there was still a lot of talent and effort from behind this movie to make it pretty good. So let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Bloodman Bob here, and Happy New Year! So, yeah, my class review was actually my last video for 2019, and now this is my first video for 2020. I'm going to be talking about Mary Poppins Returns today. By the way, I know I said in the intro that I was pretty opposed for a Mary Poppins sequel to be coming out, while the P.L. Travers book had, additional stories come out, additional books come out. And it's because with the Disney Mary Poppins, the film that came out in 1964 and starred Julie Andrews, the reason why I didn't really want sequels to that movie was because I felt that the original Disney film was so definitive and pretty well done that I was like, no, it doesn't need sequels. But in this age where Disney is coming out with live action remakes and arguably movies that are debatably live action remakes, I guess it was only a matter of time until they were like, hey, let's do a Mary Poppins sequel. And actually, as a movie, as I mentioned in the intro, while I don't see it as a classic like the 1964 film, I still thought this movie was done pretty well. Oh, because there was a lot of talent and effort thrown in. So, what is Mary Poppins Returns about? It actually now follows the bank children, and now they are grown-ups. And the thing is, one of the bank's children, Michael, he's now, grown up. He's a father now and played by Ben Whishaw. He's about to he and his kids, they're about to lose their home to the bank unless he's able to find this proof of shares that will allow him to access his father's shares to be able to save his house. And Mary Poppins comes in to help out for a bunch of musical scenes and helping them figure out, how they can get through this really tough time in their lives. And also, Michael's sister, Jane, is also in this movie, and she's around to help out as well. And so, what I personally think about this movie, let's actually start off with the acting, and I would say the acting is one of the most well done things in this movie. Emily Blunt replaces Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins, and I think Blunt does a really good job. She really captures the Mary Poppins character really well. She's able to pull off the scenes where Mary Poppins has to be this really, this crisp, proper character, but she also has a sense of wonder and enjoyment and pulling off these really magical scenes. So I thought, she was able to pull off that role pretty well, and she does a really good job, with singing the songs in this movie. Lin-Manuel Miranda is in this movie as Jack. He's basically the replacement for Bert, and in this movie, Jack is a very musical guy, and in this movie, Jack is what they call a Leary. He's the person who goes around lighting up the gas lamps, and he has a bunch of musical sequences. I thought that Lin-Manuel Miranda pulled them off pretty well. He makes Jack into this really likable guy, and he's able to pull off a lot of the dancing in this movie really well. There's a whole scene where he sings along with his friends, and they're dancing on gas lamps, and I thought that was a pretty nicely done. In terms of the other acting, I thought the child actors in this movie were actually surprisingly good. Colin Firth is in this movie as well. He actually plays the villain. He runs the bank in this movie, and he basically wants to repossess all the homes so he can get a bunch of money off of them, which I will say that's probably one of the first flaws I'll talk about in this movie, in that in this film there's kind of a more defined villain, and even so he is basically he's just the greedy bastard. His main motivation is greed. But I thought that Colin Firth, he still gave such an intimidating performance that I still thought that this character comes off as really threatening. So I still thought, even though the motivations of this character are kind of cookie cutter, I still thought he was a pretty well done villain. And the song sequences, I will say I didn't find the songs as memorable as the songs in the original Mary Poppins, but I thought many of them were still really well performed, and they were really nice songs to who listen to. Some of my favorites include the "Can You Imagine That" song. That's the song where Mary Poppins sings, where she takes the bank's children into a bathtub and it actually sends them into an ocean, and they're swimming around, and it's a lot of fun. Something I really like about that particular song is that, and as well as a scene where they use a traditional animation to pull off this other musical scene, is that it contains a lot of references to what the Banks children see in real life. So in Can You Imagine That, they actually see a groundskeeper very similar to a groundskeeper they see in the movie, that's telling them to, get off the grass. And in a animated sequence that comes after that, there's a scene where there's this a wolf that actually gets away with one of the Banks children, and his two siblings have to come chase after him. It's kind of an intense scene, and it's a parallel to how the bank is coming to take their home and belongings away. So I thought there was that bit of creativity there was pretty well done, and the songs themselves overall I thought were pretty good too. Another one of my favorite songs was a song called "The Place Where Lost Things Go," where Mary Poppins sings to the children and helps them cope with the death of their mother by telling them that their mother isn't really gone, she is just now misplaced. So it's that instead of being there in person, their mother is now with them in spirit, like a star in the sky. And I thought that song was, really heartfelt and really well done. And another song I really like is a song called "Nowhere to Go But Up." Wow, just me mentioning the song is kind of starting to get back in my head. And I won't go into any spoilers, but it's pretty similar to "Let's Go Fly Kite," which I think kind of gets into one of I guess you could call a problem with Mary Poppins Returns, in that a lot of the songs do feel like they're kind of, taking the place of the songs of the ones that were in the original film. So songs like "Nowhere to Go But Up" is kind of similar to "Let's Go Fly Kite." There's a song sequence where the kids where the characters go to see Mary Poppins' cousin. That's kind of similar to the Edwin song in the original. And even Jack's song sequence, where he's singing and dancing with the Learys, is kind of like a step in time. So you could kind of tell they're pretty similar to the original film. But I still thought, the characters and the visuals and the songs themselves, they were still distinct enough where I was able to have a good time watching them. An example of where I'd say a Disney movie went too cookie cutter would be something like the Beauty and the Beast remake, where even though, there are some new songs in that remake, when they did scenes like the "Be Our Guest" and even the Beauty and the Beast, the dancing song, I just had this feeling where the filmmakers were like, okay, we have to pull these off. We're going to, do it by the numbers. Whereas in this movie, the song sequences, I personally didn't think they had that sort of by the numbers feeling. And I give them a lot of credit for that. In terms of any other issues I personally have with this movie, and this one, I don't know if I would personally call it an issue with this movie, because there is technically a defense for this. And this is the part of the video that's going to get a little spoilery, because I'm going to talk about the ending in a bit of detail. So, spoiler alert. If you want to avoid spoilers, just skip to the part of the video where I take out the word spoilers, where I wrap up this review. But one of my issues with the ending of this film is that in a sense, I felt it kind of conflicted with the ending of the original Mary Poppins. So in the ending of the original Mary Poppins, Michael's father, sings the famous song, "Let's Go Fly Kite," where he says that he used the tuppence that Michael gave back to him in the original film. Where he says that he used tuppence to pay for materials to fix up his kid's kite. And so it made me think that he got that tuppence back from Michael earlier on in the movie. So when we got to the ending where Dick Van Dyke, who plays Colin Firth's uncle in the movie, reveals that Michael's father actually put the tuppence in the bank, and it has now grown to such an amount that Michael could use it to repay his house. I was like, wait, does that conflict with the ending of the original Mary Poppins? In this movie's defense, I will say you could make the argument that maybe Michael's father used maybe he had some other money to pay for fixing up the kite. Like maybe that specific tuppence that is mentioned so much in the original film, he actually put that in the bank instead, because in the Let's Go Fly a Kite song, Michael's father says, with tuppence for paper and string. He didn't say, I used the tuppence you gave back to me. So I guess you could give a defense for that ending. So I guess it's not really a flaw with the ending of Mary Poppins Returns. It's kind of more of a case of it's in the eye of the beholder. But I thought overall, Mary Poppins Returns was a really well done movie with lots of talent and effort thrown into it. I don't think it's going to go down as a classic film in the same way the 1964 Mary Poppins will but I still thought Mary Poppins Returns was still a pretty decent movie. I'd even go as far as to say, if you're a Mary Poppins fan and you've been holding out because you're skeptical, I would still say give this movie a chance. I still think as a movie, it's still a really fun movie with a lot of heart and a lot of fun in it. So yeah, so overall, I would give Mary Poppins Returns a 7.8 out of 10. And so, all right, guys, so let me know your thoughts down below. Have you seen Mary Poppins Returns? Are you interested in seeing the movie? Leave all those thoughts down below. Until next time, this has been Bloodman Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to get notified when I release my latest videos. Follow me at Blood Moon Bobby on your favorite social media platforms to take part in polls, see my tech tips, and to hear about my video plans. Thanks for watching.